advertising meets technology, and we are right at the intersection of it. And so I'm so happy to be having this conversation with Anindita Veluri, who sort of heads marketing for Adobe India and is director of marketing. Yep, three official titles. And thank you so much, Anindita, for taking out the time and having this conversation with us. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. My pleasure.
Right. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is sort of kick off our respective KRAs and talk about AI, which is sort of something we need to know all the time now. So I'm just curious because of course, Adobe has a lot of AI products within its own ecosystem. So let's start off with agentic AI is the new thing for 2025, right? It's what generative AI was to 2024. It's agentic AI now. So, how do you find enterprises in India leveraging agentic AI as their B2B marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think, you're absolutely right from a KRA perspective. Everyone's talking, it's the hot buzzword. So AI, agentic. So I think the first thing I think we need to understand is that agentic AI is like, don't look at it as a tool or a technology. It's actually, it's a great partner. Think of it as a person who helps, it's an extended arm of your team who gives you a lot of the ability for you to really, sort of uh, kickstart, kickstart the entire process of be it creation, be it ideation, be it activation. So the way I look at AI and the way I use it is that I think it is my intelligent teammate that gives me the power to stay away from the fear of a blank page, uh, activates immediately, okay, for me, but keeps me in the driver's seat. All right. How are we using it? I think a lot of organizations are using it in a different ways. Some of the very, very basic ones are obviously in terms of use cases are in terms of content creation, in terms of identifying personalization at scale. But I think the as we start moving into more advanced, complex use cases, I think, in terms of us being able to identify and, audiences in terms of segmentation, or maybe have conversations and have interfaces which are conversational, so that the entire experience of customers are absolutely seamless. The ability for you to be more predictive, when it comes to talking about what would be the next best action or what could be something that could help me personalize maybe a content or maybe an experience to be able to deliver to the customer. I think those are areas that I see a lot more customers of ours uh, going into and sort of unpacking those use cases and seeing value over there. So yeah, exciting space, huge potential, but always to be used as an intelligent teammate with yourself being in the driver's seat.
Perfect. And lovely. That's how I can pitch it to my editors as well. And of course, to get back to another sort of marketer's KRA, what is the kind of ROI that enterprises are seeing? When they are adopting these.
ROI, it's a very, very important question, Shantanu, because I'll tell you, ROI is something that all of us are being asked to, uh, talk about or maybe, stand up and own. So I look at ROI in two perspectives. Okay, one is very fundamental ROIs, which is obviously your speed to market, your ability to create faster, do a lot more with a lot less. So those are some of the fundamental, and those are great ROIs to come. I think the next angle of ROI, I think, in my perspective, would be larger lifetime value, higher conversion rates, skill ability for me to get my team skilled up better because I have so much more time to be able to do things that are really more strategic, and those are things that I think it's a balance between the two. But I really am more keen and I see a lot more value coming in from the second bucket of the ROI, which has been really brilliant. So I think, the ability for us to drive faster, more targeted, more meaningful customer connects and engagements is really going to be leading with, you know, great ROI that we deliver to not just our customers but also to ourselves as professionals.
And it's interesting because you mentioned how ROI is viewed from different perspectives, and I'm just curious. How is Adobe helping bridge that's sort of gap between performance marketing and brand marketing? Because for these and everything moving towards performance, but there's still a lot of value to brand marketing. So I'm curious what your thoughts on that and how Adobe is helping bridge that gap.
So if you really, if you ask me from a brand and a performance so I think we all work at a juncture, and I think when Megha was talking about it, we work at a juncture where creativity, marketing, and AI are coming together, right? Uh, and AI is the fundamental bridge that really helps in getting both these creative as well as performance marketers together. So what really is happening is that from a creative perspective, I have the option of creating better, creating more, you know, uh, kickstarting and empowering my knowledge when it comes to extending the aperture of what creativity can really mean to me. And that helps me from an AI perspective. The second piece is from a performance marketing perspective. So, what are we looking at? We are trying to look at an integrated embedded system. Now, this is where Adobe really is, I think, leading the way. Where and I'll give you an example of one of our clear products, which is called the Adobe Gen Studio for Performance Marketers. What does this really do? Okay, think of this as a single, uh, all in a box self-service platform, okay, or a solution that actually helps you do both. It is got all automated workflows. It's got all the initiatives that right from a creator perspective. So, for example, I'm looking at creating a content piece, right from the image to the creative to everything. I have these all these assets that are created in multiple variations on brand available to me, and it is there as asset repositories. From a performance marketing perspective, my team can come in the same platform, pick up all these assets, pick up all these repositories, be able to analyze, be able to provide insights and roll them out so that you are providing personalization at scale at every touch point across multiple channels. Now, when I look at this engine, for me, the huge benefit is that I have everything in one place. It is one single unit. It is a cohesive, one in a box solution that I can take to market where completely the silos are completely broken down. So for me, I think that's the way when we talk about brand and we talk about performance marketing, it is coming together with embedded workflows, integrated, capabilities to be able to break down silos to the market.
And speaking of capabilities, I mean, I don't know where you stand on this whole studio Ghibli thing that ChatGPT did, which as someone who writes for a living, it was slightly problematic to me. But it's a very real fact that AI is being utilized in a lot of creative ways. And so, how is Adobe sort of navigating that tension between AI stuff that you can generate immediately as apart from as opposed to your professional training and execution of a concept?
So if you ask me, I think, you know, uh, it's a reality. Let me be frank, okay? But I think predictive creativity, making that a reality, is something that I think Adobe is playing a very key role in. So if you really look at it, I think we are enabling marketers, okay, to really be able to tap into insights that help in creating better. Because as I said when we started this conversation, AI is a tool that helps you bridge uh, ideation to activation, but keeping you in the driver's seat. And the entire my perspective is that while we can use tools and technologies, the end outcome has to be something that is owned by you because you give that direction. Therefore, while we are all looking at a very, you know, linear sort of a funnel and a process, I think what we are moving towards is a very looped in process or a dynamic process where creativity generated by us is strengthened thanks to data and insights. And then, thanks to the data and insights, creativity becomes more sharpened. So it's a constant loop, in my opinion. And I think that's the way when we balance it out and we move ahead. I don't know if you agree, given that you're a content creator.
My use a sort of I'm supposed to keep in the and it's ironic. That's something because you mentioned that it is not a linear process. Absolutely right. And as I mentioned, picking up the conversation, like we had to take off AI as part of our KRAs because everyone's talking about it. And I think from what I'm getting, there's also a sense that a lot of brands are just get jumping onto anything AI because it has the word AI, and which may not perhaps make a lot of sense. And so, do you see any blind spots, in the Indian market or brands, just who haven't perhaps understood the concept to its fullness?
You know, um, you're true. A lot of people are just jumping onto the bandwagon. The race to adopt AI is real. Okay. But I think, in my opinion, again, one of the blind spots that I see is, I think, two things actually. One is you need to be very clear what are you using AI for. So therefore, you need to understand what is the use case. It's not a blanket that you can use across. You need to start small and be able to be very specific about the use case and then keep growing that as a strategy. The second, I think, is around the awareness of its ethical use. I think it's becoming extremely critical for brands like us when we bring these technologies. It is our responsibility to be able to very clearly showcase a tool that protects you, respects the IP that you protect from a content creator perspective, and be able to be responsible when we bring such technology. And I think sometimes a lot of people in the race to adopt AI tend to forget, and pay attention to that, which is why I think, when we look at our tools, they're all, or when we look at agents, our entire models are, you know, um, developed on our own data. We follow some principles across AI ethics, which are clearly the art principles, which is on accountability, responsibility, transparency. They are our guiding principles when it comes to development of processes or training, testing, anything that we deploy into the market. The other thing is that I think, you know, adoption of AI can never be in silos, Shantanu. It has to be a very integrated, uh, you know, um, approach. And sometimes I think one of those blind spots is that I just do my little piecemeal and I assume that a lot of things will get um, benefited. But I think that bridge of being able to do it as an entire end-to-end um, content pipeline is very, very critical. Which is why I guess, again, uh, people like Adobe bring in technology that is completely integrated, embedded, and maybe, that's the reason why a lot of people are adopting our technology and taking that forward in the market.
Right. And it's interesting, because as you mentioned, like it needs to be a tool. It doesn't need to be your go-to for everything. And I think I've reached the point because like I said, I write for a living, so I can tell when something is AI generated. Like I know exactly what to look out for. And so I'm curious, what how do you think that now creativity can sort of creative performance can now be sort of predicted? And because as you said, Adobe is driving a lot of transformation in the space. So, and so what role will Adobe play in this, uh, this prediction of creative performance and how it's actually going to go out?
So, well, Adobe has always said that our AI is human centered, which basically means that we are empowering you and we're augmenting you so that you can create better. Okay. And I always said it's a very intelligent teammate, but it's a teammate that works cohesively in collaboration with you so that you are really orchestrating this whole experience rather than being told what to do. So I think Adobe is clearly leading, the way and the path when it comes to enabling marketers to anticipate content, resonate into what would be the next opportunity, but in a very responsible way where there is a completely integrated approach and blending the human intuition with the AI intelligence so that, you are driving creativity, delivering experiences that are not just engaging, but are increasingly effective.
And this is a slightly off the cuff question, but I'm just curious because I'm sure you engage with a lot of different AI tools, etc. So, do you have one in a favorite, or like does it sort of change circumstance day to day?
So, it's interesting that you ask me that question. So, when I'm not an artist or I haven't really, dabbled too much in the creative, in the sense of creative field. And the tool that I go to, and thanks to Adobe again, um, when Firefly was launched, I started dabbling and I started using it. And I can say it has been a journey for me uh, of how I've got better to ask the right prompts to be able to generate the better things that I need to do. It has been a journey for me, but that's pretty much my go-to when it comes to you know creativity. Yeah, and the other tool that I use is Perplexity. I think I go I like the way they uh, bring things out. So
Yeah. Then I love complexity as well, and unfortunately, my chat GPT conversations wind down to which Lord Rick's character do you think would dishonor Game of Thrones character? So we have this very argumentative back and forth. So I'm sure that must be big. But I always say please and thank you. So, no, thank you so much for taking out this time.